Welcome, everybody. My name is Chari. I'm the CMO for Streamz, and welcome to our fireside chat on sales gamification. Uh, really excited to have you all here. And the, the brief agenda for today is basically a fireside chat with. We have a really good group of people: Rajesh Rao, Simon, and Marana Ray. Uh, and all of them, along with me, we will sort of discuss what is gamification, how do you use it in sales environment, etc. Challenges. Have these kind of interesting discussions. It's going to be informal. People will be sharing their thoughts and ideas. Gamification is a fairly new topic, so it'll be interesting to discuss this and see how they're using gamification in their environment. And followed by a quick 15-minute sharing by Dolly, who's our head of operations, who has implemented a number of gamification programs on a gamification playbook, basically a good guide on how to create and design gamification programs which work. And that's the intent. Please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A. What is gamification? So that everybody sort of understands. It's a fairly new topic. It's been in existence for the last it's been in existence for a long time, and people have been using video games and thinking of video game concepts. And the idea is how to use game elements in non-game business settings so that you can motivate your sales teams and your employees to achieve more. And that's the context of using gamification. We all use gamification in daily applications. All of us have a Nike application where it sort of prods you to go for exercise every other day, and it really works, right? So we've seen that behavior improvement in people, and that's the concept in which we are sort of discussing gamification. So I'm now going to stop sharing and just focus on discussing with the team here. And so let me sort of start with the questions. So, we have this august set of panelists who are here, Rajesh Rao, Maharana Ray, and Simon. Maybe we'll just go through a round of introductions from each one of them and take it from there. So, Mr. Rana, do you would like to start off with you in terms of introducing yourself and maybe a quick sort of thought on, what are the sales trends in your industry? What kind of channel, sales channel you are having that will sort of help the audience, I think.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Chari. Very good evening to every one of you here present on this webinar. I thought my name was third on the first chart that you showed, but then you mentioned about my name, the first. Fine. Good. Excited to be among all of you and really looking forward to a good 60-minute of engaging event. I have been in Bajaj Auto since the last 20 years. And prior to that, I was in Toyota Oman. And prior to that, I was in Pepsi. So, but let me stay put on the last 20 years and stay put on the last 3 years. And consciously, I said 3 years because I discount 2 years due to the COVID. So here I look after as I head the network, the channel management for KTM. And KTM is an Austrian brand that you know of and which we have acquired in the year 2012 with about, say, 47% of stake there. So, staying put on the KTM. In India today, of course, I know Simon is based out of London, Rajesh is out of Singapore, I believe, but I am based out of India, so that's also in Pune. In India, we got about 447 showrooms all across the country. That's the channel strength which we have. We are KTM being a very niche brand, so we sell about 6,000 odd bikes per month. And yes, and we are into the top 2 percentile of the industry. So where we are the performance segment. We are in terms of the racing, ready to race is our in terms of that is the orange. We have the orange blood. I know we don't have red blood in the body. So that's I think so the introduction to I hate the network. I have worked in sales, marketing. I worked in about 19 countries, yes, on behalf of Bajaj. So it's been an exciting journey so far. Challenge, yes. The sales trends are quite. We have been hit very badly. Let me tell you that as a very upfront confession, due to the products availability, and that is due to the ECU availability. So yeah, the April is a bad month for us. Hopefully, from May 15th onwards, the supplies will start. It's a very exciting this thing because automobile or two-wheeler will never get into a because in a country like India, commute from one place to one, and then going for biking skills or riding, that's really catching up. So it's a very exciting this thing, except for the month of April, we have a product shortage.
Okay.
Yeah, and happy to be among all of you.
Great.
And look forward to a very engaging discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Rana. I think maybe next time when I'm in India, I should rent out a KTM bike and go for a ride. That'll be fun, I think. So
no, renting out is not this thing. I will not charge any money from you, but I'll give you the bike to ride.
That'll be cool. That'll be excellent. Yep. Okay. Hey, Simon, would you like to introduce yourself and
hello everyone.
Also talk about trends.
Yeah, of course. So hello, I am Simon Gilbert. I'm the channel training lead for HMD Global. And we have the license and franchise for selling Nokia phones globally. I have scarily over 20 years of telecom experience. Previously to HMD, I was at Sony. And then previous to that in the UK, I was with Orange, which was one of the networks, now EE. So I've got all this experience, and one of my key focuses is now that I've got a global role. I'm based in the UK, and the key here is to try and motivate, engage, inspire both a community of retail store staff and promoters to sell Nokia handsets. We've done very well in the 5 years that we've been going. We're #1 feature phones in India, and we're the top 5 brands in 38 countries. But from a challenge perspective, we have some very, very big players with very, very deep pockets. So from the likes of Samsung to our Chinese players, they have deeper pockets and deeper budgets than we have. So we know that the sphere that we play in, the $100 to $300 market, is super, super competitive. And there's a lot of focus on spec. Who's got the biggest megapixel camera? Who's got the biggest battery? But that's been going on for so many years now. And I think that what we're trying to focus on is driving the consumer to think more about sustainability, longevity, durability. So trying to keep their phone for longer. So we're trying to change the narrative, changing our messages as well. Because we feel that if you can keep your phone for longer, you're saving money, and it's also, hopefully better for the planet. But, the same as Rana was saying, problems with shortages. There's a major chipset shortage at this moment in time. Global inflation has increased, so that means our purchase prices are going up, distribution costs, freight costs, they're all going up. It's a tough time. But as I said, our main competitors, they've got deeper pockets than us at the moment. So we're trying to think of different ways of how we sort of can combat that.
Excellent. I think, I think everyone in the audience would have always held a Nokia phone in their hand at some stage in their life. I had 3 of them. So, hey, we all had Motorola phones, Nokia phones. We have all had those before, and a BlackBerry. And but things have changed. But it's good that Nokia is still keeping the pressure up, and it's a tough competitive environment. I agree. And Rajesh, all yours.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Okay, great. So Chari, Jawahar, and Team Streamz, thanks for inviting me over for this session. It's great to be here and also share the stage along with Maharana and Simon here, right? I'm looking forward to learning as well, apart from sharing some thoughts here, right? So that's going to be fun. So that's great. Yeah, so I'm Rajesh Rao, as Chari already introduced. I'm based in sunny Singapore, not as sunny as it used to be with the heavy rains at this point, but that's where I am. Been here for about 18 years with a company called Viavi. I just introduced Viavi in a little bit, right? So just to take you back in terms of my own exposure, I started back in Hewlett Packard. I'm not sure if many people know about what Hewlett Packard was known for in those days. Now it's of course known for printers and PCs, etc. But in the line of test and measurement, right? Anything to do with testing and measuring, whether it's in R&D or telecom networks, etc. HP was there. So I was back with HP in 1992, I think, and ever since I've been in that field, but in different companies, right? So HP kind of transformed itself and kept the brand name with PCs. The test and measurement became Agilent, and then Agilent spun off its business, and it became Keysight. A portion of it, the comms test business, got sold to JDSU. You may have heard of JDS Uniphase. And then, we again transformed, and right now we are known as Viavi. Okay. So I'm based in Singapore. I head the region, Asia Pac and Japan for Viavi. We are about a small company, a $3 billion market cap. But we've been in our line, and we are number one in our line. We've been around for 98 years, the longest standing test and measurement company. And in a simple analogy, I would like to say that, just like, Simon was explaining Nokia phones and like the Bajaj automobile that everyone kind of rides, today networks kind of, we enable networks, right? Whether you're talking about telecommunication networks on land, right? The 5G networks, the 4G networks, or if it is submarine cables, networks under the sea, or if it is, radars on aeroplanes or fighter aircrafts, all those communication systems are essentially at some point would have been tested with some Viavi test equipment, right? So we do touch people's lives in some way or the other pretty much every moment, okay? So that's where we are. We have a wide range of products that go across testing various parts of the network, whether it is wireless or in the wireline, right? We look at it end to end. For example, if you add up all the fiber networks that are there, just in my region in Asia Pac alone, we would have covered several moonshot lengths of fiber between the Earth and the Moon in terms of testing it, right? For example, networks in Singapore, the entire fiber network here, for example, we play a big role in managing it, right? So gamification is an important part. As Chari said, it's new, but for us in the region, it's really about having some fun and motivating along the journey, right? And we'll talk more about that, I guess.
Excellent. Cool. Excellent. So Rajesh, a quick question on your sales. And so you have a mix of direct sales team and a lot of indirect sales teams. Is that how you're organized for the audience?
Yeah, sure. So we've got a mix, right? And it's kind of evenly split out between our direct sales and indirect sales, both channel as well as direct sales organization. That's true. And we've got a long list of products as well as different product lines, as I mentioned, from wireline that serve the wireline networks to test them, as well as wireless. And again, from R&D to R&D organizations to field networks. Yeah, right. True.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Great. So that was a great round of introductions. Thank you all. And so we'll sort of maybe continue the discussion on gamification. And sort of my first discussion point is, what are you guys doing with gamification? Have you implemented it? What kind of impact does it create? That'll be great to sort of have a first round discussion on what do you think, what role does gamification play in your environment, right? So that will be a good question to sort of start the discussion on. And maybe I'll sort of elect Simon to start off this one.
I think the role of gamification is super important because it's about, as Rajesh says, first of all, it's fun, and it should be fun. It's about engaging. It's about trying to recognize and reward people as well for doing training. Training should be fun. That to me is very, very important. So, I'd like to give two examples. My current one, which, I do with yourself, which is, something we've called, which is Quizmaster. And the key to any gamification program is the cliche of KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And that's what it should be. And so every week we do 5 questions, multiple choice on a particular product. We've got these products that are out in the markets, and we want retail store staff and promoters to be confident to understand the key selling points so that they think about us as part of the purchase consideration. So there's multiple choice. You get 5 questions each week. Communication is absolutely key here. And you get points. So if you get 5 out of 5, you get certain points, 4, 3, etc. And by the end of the month, how many get points, we'll then see who actually wins. And there are e-vouchers on to play. And we do it from a regional perspective. We have different regions. And so there's 10 winners a month. And it's very simple. It's just points based on how many you answer per week on the questions. But we also add a little bit extra, which is we want surveys. This is feedback. We want to give these guys a voice. So as part of that, we also do a monthly survey, and they get points for completing that as well. But it's a bit of fun, and they see a leaderboard. They see where they are, and they're competitive. All retail store staff globally are competitive. My only other example is when I was back at a previous company. The other elements you can do with gamification is that I did something like a treasure hunt. And again, it was question-based, where you would do these 5 questions, you get a code, if you got 4 or 5 out of 5, and then you'd go to an island and dig. And there was prizes, there was e-vouchers, not massive coffee vouchers, maybe the odd speaker, etc. And you would either get a prize or you get sand, and then you might just get sand, but there was that opportunity. In the current state, what we're doing now, I've seen a 20% increase. So we started this year, we've seen a 20% increase in usage, and we've seen about a 25% increase in people with their product knowledge. So it's a really powerful tool for us to drive that engagement, drive weekly communication, so people that will continually coming back, and also rewarding people for doing, simple quizzes, training, that they can see, well, I have an opportunity to actually win something in return.
I like, when we talked about Quizmaster, right? And I sort of see that as a very interesting program because you're doing it on a global scale across so many countries,
19,
right?
Yeah.
19 countries, and you have different flavors of those with products which are slightly tuned for that country, and having those set of questions which keep coming every week for people to just answer, and people seem to be answering them, and they seem to be improving their knowledge. So that's amazing. So that's cool.
I think the data we get as well is important because we have a KPI. So we want people to score around about 70-75%. And so we can see the countries that are doing very, very well, that are really achieving high, like Pakistan, Egypt, Nigeria. But there's other countries that are below that mark. And so we're working with those countries to try and improve the score so that they improve the knowledge. So again, the data behind the gamification is actually really important because it helps us, I think, as I said, improve and get people more confident in our products because we want them to score well so they understand our key selling points.
Cool. Excellent. So Rana, what would you like to share from your experience with gamification and how, what kind of activities you're doing? And
Thank you, Simon. Good insight. Great. So in my view, the sales gamification, as the name suggests, I have 3 points to share. One, gamification is, the bigger picture is to build capability and competency in the executives, the dealer sales executive. And when I say dealer sales executive, we must know that they are not as smart as a B school graduate. They are the sales executive on the floor of a dealership of the KTM showroom. And for me, we use gamification as not as a training program, but as a gamification where I tell my guys and where we use gamification, it's a journey to build capability. It's a journey. It's not a training.
Right.
So in the journey, so there are 3 E's that I am very mindful of. That it should be exciting, it should be engaging, and it should be educating. There's the 3 E's that I. So what do we do in the gamification? Basically, what we do is help my dealer sales executive to find out their own priorities, to find out their own weaknesses in the learning. And these are, so they have to be end-to-end readiness to face any customer and to convert them. Ultimately, the proof of the pudding of all this is he buys my KTM and goes out. Is he ready?
Right.
So to being ready, it has to be knowledge. So we use gamification as knowledge sharing. That's point number 1. To build upon what Simon rightly said, it has to be fun. So it has to be engaging. And there has to be an assessment. Not much. I don't advocate points or rewards at this point. For me, gamification should be your own barometer to see where do I stand.
Right.
For example, in my KTM network today, we have got roughly about 900 odd sales executives. Okay. Now I cannot make everyone the top 10, but today, even if I am the 457th in terms of my leaderboard or a dashboard, I have the competitiveness to go to 422nd. That means I have improved.
Right.
We use gamification, and it's absolutely very, very, very impactful, very insightful, and we help them focus on their priorities. We help them focus on their learning nuggets. We help them focus on their, to improve themselves.
Right.
That's what I would do.
So that's an interesting, interesting way. I think learning and making learning work and motivating them to improve their self-performance, right, is and sort of believing in their competitive spirits and taking it forward is a very high value, clearly, right? Rajesh, what are your experiences here?
Yeah, so my friends here, Rana and Simon, have already spoken, and I totally agree, right? Nothing so far that I would disagree, right? So I was just thinking, what different context can I add to that?
Right.
Frankly, I do agree. The part of journey that Rana talked about is absolutely spot on, right? For us, it's the journey. Keep it stupid simple or super simple, as Simon said, is obviously the right approach that we also believe in. So I think, Chari, let me go to why is it, why did we embark on gamification? I think what we do and, how we do, I guess we can come to, but really the why is at the core of everything we do, right? So if you ask the question, why did we embark on gamification? It's kind of a bit of what Rana and Simon said. So in simple terms, it is really to motivate, right, along the journey and celebrate, and to really celebrate the bite-sized progress that we make, right, as well as to make it stick, right? So motivation and making things stick is really important. Now, for example, in the sales organization, we are driven, we're driven towards meeting your targets, your quotas, AOPs. That's a year-long process or a quarterly process, right? But and that's really in my view, the lagging indicator of whether you're successful or not. But what are the leading indicators along the way? We need to make sure that people are motivated along that journey, right? So let me give an analogy, right? I don't know if that helps, but let me try and give an analogy. So humans typically need, recognition and rewards, right? We're all human. So we don't just believe in the annual. I mean, that's important. Don't get me wrong, right? So the annual merit increases, the promotions, ad hoc rewards like campaigns and etc. that we do, all are important. But when we are on a transformative journey to scale the business, recognizing the milestones and behaviors, as Rana said, in that journey, we'll just train the mind, right, to adopt as well as adapt to a particular cadence, right? It's like, and I like to use the analogy of brushing teeth, right? It's pretty simple, right? Everyone, brushes teeth, whether you go to before you go to bed, wake up in the morning, etc. Why do we do it, right? We do it day in and we do it day out. So I remember an example as a kid. My mom would bring this particular brand of toothpaste. And some of you may remember that's back in India. It used to be called Binaka. If
Yes,
you remember
yes,
that,
yes,
right?
yes.
And yeah, and we used to, as kids, wait for that package to come in, and we would open it. Not about the toothpaste, but because we
Not of
would
the
get
cruiser, but that, yes, small
the
little thing which
plastic.
you get.
Yes, the plastic model of an animal, right? And we would love collecting it. Little elephants and monkeys and all kinds of animals, giraffes, and we would love collecting. Guess what? The sooner we finish the toothpaste tube, the next toothpaste tube would come in, much faster and sooner, right? So there you go. We had motivation to drive the behavior to use lots of toothpaste to brush our teeth, right? And and that would just make that habit stick. So the end result is not just the toothpaste. Actually, it's in the sales analogy, it's like to meet your quota and target. The end objective is really to make sure that you have a good pair of, a set of teeth and your health is good. But it's really motivating those elements in that journey towards that final destination,
Right.
that would motivate us, right? So we've kind of taken this and used different parts of our leading indicators, like things like funnel ad that we do on a weekly basis, new business that we win. And these are rewards recognition that we do on a weekly, monthly basis, right? So at the end of it, this is why we do this, is to develop our culture of execution and really making our daily job fun and rewarding, and so that it sticks, right? Now, we have started doing this since 2019 in a very manual way. We've got spreadsheets, redemptions, and all of that, right? So thanks to Streamz, we've kind of automated and digitized this in 2021. So our engagement rates have been picking up. We are looking at engagement rates about 50% per week, and north of 75%. It's even touched as high as 90% in the 30-day window, right? So it's kind of working there.
Excellent.
Hopefully that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Man, I think there's another set of things which you are looking at, right? Like leading indicators which help your sales team meet quota, right? Like funnel ads or new business creation, new product sales, etc., etc. And you're looking at those behaviors, including maybe demos which you can do or whatever, right? Which help help the journey, right? And of course, I think every sales organization is going to slightly tweak it based on their sales structure, right? And take it forward, right? Man, I think that's how we would all tweak it, as a sales organization. Okay, cool. So let me sort of move to the next sort of interesting topic, as we sort of got a interesting fundamental thought on. So, what kind of elements, are you using today, which make this gamification program very interesting for the sales team? Like you talked about, Rajesh and Binaka, those guys are giving you this nice, interesting toys to collect, right? So what kind of elements are you using today? Because you're really trying to think about game elements in a non-game business setting. We're talking about learning, for Simon or for, Rana, you're saying, hey, I want the guys to talk about my product really well. It's a very boring topic, right? And now you're using game elements to make it exciting, more focused, right? So what kind of elements are you guys using? Maybe, Rana, would you like to start off with that? Or?
Yeah, sure. So again, here I have, so I really resonate with, what Rajesh mentioned about Binaka, and I think it's a very apt example. Maybe Simon would not be able to echo that same thought, but I would. So yes, I do agree. So in terms of the motivating factor or the same, what are the key factors? I had told Streamz very clearly. First is we need to understand, and I would like to use the RICE approach here. Okay, RICE approach, and which we have. See, the gamification has to be reassuring as a platform. Gamification has to be reassuring to my customer. And who are my customer? That dealer sales executive. He has to buy in. Okay. And why will he buy in? When will he buy in? He will buy in provided he sees that what is it in for me?
Right.
Okay, what do I get? So he has to be inspired. Okay. And C is, you see, I'm sure Rajesh and Simon would, echo this thought with me. We need to communicate with them. We as a vice president or head, or then we have the regional manager and the area manager. There's so many hierarchy. We actually lose sight of this dealer sales executive who actually moves the needle of growth in terms of sales. Okay, and we are not in touch. Okay, so gamification, so that is the C, that is the and E is empathy. Now, what do I mean by empathy is that first one, it should be easy to use. The moment it is easy to use, it will be fun to use. The moment it is easy to use, then you don't have to intellectualize the whole thing. Start with small nuggets. Start with small, simple, interesting snippets of learning. Let them go, or make the level difficulty slowly. Okay, that's point one. Point two, now we have these badges in terms of recognition. One must remember this. The gratification, the success, one of the key success, the gratification has to be instant. It can be a simple letter or a simple WhatsApp or a simple leaderboard, but the gratification has to be instant. Now, suppose if it is a monthly, now the month gratification, you are sending a greeting card, that has to be by the 5th of the next month. It cannot wait for 3 months down the line.
Right.
That's the second part in terms of success, because we need to keep them engaging. That's my second point. Third point here, for a success factor of the gamification, it should be also competitive, because if it is not competitive, your good ones will lose out. It's so simple. So it has to be competitive, it has to be simple to use, and it has to be instant, time-bound gratification. So there is a buy-in on my gamification platform. I look forward to the weekly quiz. There's a fun Friday quiz, and I look forward to it. How can I beat, Mr. X in this quiz? I am behind by 5 marks. So they look forward to it.
Right.
So that would be my take on the success factor.
Okay. But these are, I think, good points. I heard, using badges is a interesting way, and making it more difficult, right, for different badge levels is also an interesting thought to consider. I think that's a good thing, which I think Rana, you're doing in terms of you have different badge levels which allow you to grade people, right, and they aspire. Okay, I'm now the next level, the next gear of improvement. Rajesh, what are your thoughts here? In terms of what are the key motivators and success factors when you look at elements of gamification?
Yeah, so absolutely. Rana, by the way, I like that gratification point. I just made a note of it. Instant gratification, and it should be. I totally agree. In fact, Chari and me were discussing the same thing. That we don't want to wait 30, 60 days before we kind of make it known, right? So they do something, they get it, and that becomes important.
And believe me, the way they pass it on their WhatsApp group, Mr. Sachin, you have done an excellent job and thanks for converting. It goes like a wildfire in their own group.
True.
Say from a Karnataka to West Bengal to Kerala, different parts. They have a solid, close-knit group. So it's very important. Yeah, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for that. So Chari, true. What are some of the key success factors really? And as I mentioned, I think for me especially, and my leadership team in the region, we got together when we decided to do this, and the why of it was really core to it, right? I mean, the what and all that, and then the what needle am I trying to move really is significant, right? So I think for us it's just 2 points, and that has already got repeated probably with what Simon started off first, and then what Rana said, right? So one is keep it simple, right? So I think when we say keep it simple, it should be in such a way that it's at the fingertips of the user, all right? And remember, it should be at the fingertips of the user, under their control, of time. The only thing that has never changed since mankind has been around is the 24 hours a day, right? I mean, you talk about all the gadgets, your phones and your iPads and digitization. We are trying to get more productivity out of a human being, and it's quite inundating, right? I mean, when you've got so many things to do, and time has never changed. So for me, and that's what we discussed as a leadership team, and we said, what, we should be able to use this at any location, at any time, when an individual has even as little as 5 or 10 minutes, all right? So it should be that easy at a snap of a. So we've kind of kept that at the forefront of it. So that's point number one. Second is, as I mentioned, things we put in there in gamification has to be absolutely core and quote unquote core to our culture and our strategy, right? That's absolutely fundamental. And for us in a sales organization, we believe that driving good habits and leading indicators is really super important, and learning, etc., that goes along with it. Right now, for example, we've got a sales behavior approach in the region where we call it L4V2. Listen, learn, love. So listen to what the customer says, try and understand the requirements, learn about their pain points. Passionate about your job. If you love what you do, then you're going to do well, right? Typically. And then your voice and your value resonates with the customer. So anyway, long story. So that's what we've kind of believed in. And we've kind of embedded that core part of our behaviors, our cultures into gamifying it so that can stick with people, right? So you can connect our culture, our strategy with the gamification part. So that's what we've really focused. So for example, we've actually created a sense of competitiveness and learning through gamification. We've also started something called as the Graduate School of Sales Certification. I think we are the first, but anyway, right? A Graduate School of Sales Certification, where we actually award gold badges or silver or bronze. And if you complete so many modules at the end of the year, you actually get certified, with a certificate and badges and some awards, etc. Right? And I think what is important, critical in the design is, communication, right, is absolutely critical. The pre and regular communication is important. We used to earlier give plaques, right? I mean, we've all gone through it. You win something, you get this little trophy and you keep it on your desk. But that era is changing to digital, right? So badges and everything, it's allowed us to significantly improve the message, right? And we also kind of combine the points across various programs in gamification. It's like Olympics, right? So you can win a medal in one stream of the games, and in another game, you can win a gold or a silver, and you can accumulate all this, right? So I think the Olympics is kind of the analogy we use in our part of the gamification.
Excellent. Oh, that's really cool. That's cool. Simon, your thoughts on this?
I think Rana and Rajesh have said more or less everything I was going to say, to be honest, and I know time is getting tight. I would also, just for people, is to say why. You start with your why. Why do you want to do this? Why is gamification going to help you? Because I think you need to go very much to the basics. Right. And as the guys have said, communication. If you do not communicate, you're not going to get that engagement that you require. You may not get the motivation that you require. And I think the language is very important. I'm dealing with a lot of millennials and Gen Z. They don't work for Nokia. They're working for various different operators and retailers across the globe. So you've got to try and work with their language and try and make it informal. And I think the other thing, when you're looking at gamification itself, from what I've learned, especially when you're going to a third party, it's got to be short. These guys none of us have got a great attention span these days. Right. As Roger said, we look at our phones, we get an email, it's got to be short. And I think that, when you're doing a gamification, 5 minutes max probably is what they will probably want to focus on. Right. Because that's, and because it is short, it's sharp, but that gratification, look, I got 5 out of 5, or I got 4 out of 5, I've got a chance to win. It makes it memorable, so they want to keep coming back. Right.
Yep. And I agree to that. Right? I think some of the studies which we did where, you ask these simple questions and you're just asking these questions, it actually triggers them to go back to the learning activity, which they may not do if you just did a learning activity, they may just not do it fully. But now here, hey, I got a 4 out of 5, or I got a 3 out of 5. Oh, now I better go back and read quickly something about it, right? That product, the new product, or that sales skill, which you are having, which Rajesh you talked about. So when we analyze the data, we see that as a key winning proposition that people sort of go back to this activity and sort of relearn quickly, right? So that they know that, oh, now next set of questions I can answer in a better way, and that sort of helps them improve. And that's the objective, I guess, right? Now, I have an interesting question, couple of questions coming.
Yes.
One is I'm seeing a question which is there from Sri Bala, who's asking, can you mention other game elements which are relevant to sales other than leaderboards and badges? Would you sort of recommend anything else which would be valuable from your perspective? We all talked about leaderboards and badges very well with points. Anything else would you like to recommend? Any of you can take that, Simon or Rajesh? Or
So yeah, fine. I'll give Simon or anyone, Rajesh.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean,
Go ahead,
from my
Ram.
side, I think what's very important, I mean, yes, you've got your leaderboards and badges, of course, certificates, as Rajesh said, those digital certificates. But I think what's important is something like a certificate. You need to earn it. You can't just do it on a 2-minute quiz. I think a module, because you want to share that on LinkedIn, don't you? You
Right.
want to say that I've done something that's got real investment. But recognition is super important. And you may see someone that has done well over a period of time. And recognition is so important. 79% of employees want to be recognized for doing a good job.
Right.
And that is it. So they may not win, but if you recognize them in your weekly or even daily communication, you would not believe how important that is, because they may not, from my industry, they're not going to get that from their store manager. They may not get that from their employee, but you'll recognize them for doing a great job, for maybe doing a great bit of customer service. That is super, super powerful.
Excellent. That's a nice one, Simon. Yeah. Any other thoughts before we sort of go to the next question, which is sort of coming
I have one perspective which we know. I do not know whether Mr. Bala would agree or appreciate this. See, one is the consistency, for example, and how do I define consistency in terms of besides the badges or the leaderboard? So you don't give any leaderboard or rank them, but if I see a consistent score, that someone who is really doing well, one who has been with us for the last 2 years, have done quite well. The assessment score is one indicator. Okay, and maybe we have given some badges and all. But see what happens. Now, there is a showroom or there's a dealer who is looking for a showroom manager. And then we say, yes, why don't you look at this guy? He has been in the KTM since last 2 years. And now today he became a showroom manager. So he also gets an opportunity to upgrade himself.
Right.
That's also important. Maybe he has, with I would say 3 badges or 4 badges, or you don't give any badges, but you have recognized his contribution. That
Right.
yes, 2 years, 3 years, he was there with me. So an upgradation. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, in terms of besides leaderboard and all, leaderboard is for the top rankers, top 100. When you are in a sales organization, when you've got too many people, it's important that we recognize contribution of everyone. Okay, obviously up to a threshold, and also gamification has helped us in also the lead and the laggard employees.
Right.
To refresh, retrain, and to recognize. It's not only recognition and reward, it's also to reprimand. If someone who is consistently not doing well and which is coming out to the gamification process and the assessment score, we also don't need beyond a point. Till today, we did not have a tool like that. So it works both ways.
It works both ways. That's a good point, which you're
Thank you.
sort of commenting on.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah.
So, Charan,
Rajesh, do you want to add some? Yeah, go ahead and add.
Yeah. So just a quick one. And I think where I kind of, I would like to go back to the question of why, right? I mean, we talk about these certificates and badges and leaderboards. These are all just tools, right? And they only flash And that's the outcome of gamification and output of gamification. I think you go back, and I think Bala's question is, what kind of things would you add and measure, right? If I got the question right. And
right.
I mean, I think it's a question of, really what behaviors are you trying to inculcate, right? So to me, the sales part of it, I break it up into two parts. One part, which we call the art of selling, right? Which I think a lot of people kind of associate with, hey, relationships, wining, dining, going and playing a game of golf, etc. So that to me is the art form of selling. But let's not forget, there's also the science of selling, right? And I think these two need to come together. So the science of selling is a lot to do with leading indicators, the metrics, rewards, etc. So I would suggest look into what kind of behaviors you are trying to drive within your organization. So for example, we've chosen things and we've looked at it. What do we want to drive weekly, monthly, quarterly, right? For example. And within that, we've got things like in the sales organization, how is your pipeline looking? What is your funnel at, right? What account reviews do you do? What is the best account review, and do we give points, for example? Gamify account reviews, right? Gamify your deal reviews, for example. So we've not really done any rocket science. We've just taken what we kind of do in sales and we put some metrics around it and we've gamified it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. I think that's the whole idea. I think the idea is really to identify what activities will drive the right behavior, which will align to your sales strategy, right? Or to your business strategies which you're having, and just ensuring that is the focus of the organization as a whole, right? There's an interesting question which is there, and maybe we can have one person answer it. The question is, won't you see diminishing returns in year 2, as most of the points have been covered by then? And maybe Rajesh, low attention spans and lower novelty value. Rajesh, maybe you want to tackle that because you've been now running it for a couple of years. You did manual versions, automated versions. Give your thoughts on what do you feel?
So we've not seen it diminish. I think the risk with this is, go back to the discussions earlier. I think Simon mentioned it and Rana also mentioned to some extent, keep it simple, don't boil the ocean, because it's very easy to make it so big and complicated because you keep adding stuff and then, it just becomes too big, right? So that's one element. The second is constant communication is important, right? So we've learned, we started this manually in 2019, and then we went digital thanks to Streamz in 2021, right? So no, in fact, our engagement rates have gone up, right, over this period of time. And the reason is I think the key is really to keep it something that is related to daily activity, right? If you're trying to change and bring some new stuff, gamification is not the way, right? Honestly, it has to tie with what you are already doing so that it can stick more, right? That's the real key part of it.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a great.
I would also add to what Rajesh rightly said. No, I totally agree. For this diminishing return, I do not know who has asked this question. It's very important to also to upgrade the learning nuggets. I'll tell you what we are doing here, thanks to again Streamz. Like for example, we started with the brand and product first. And Rajesh, I would agree with you because we also started with 2021 end, and it has given us we started with brand and product, and we have started with the selling skills. So these are the only 2 topics. Is this enough? And if you continue to do this for the next 1 year, yes, I would agree it will have a diminishing return. But I have already given out the syllabus. The third would be on the biking skills. The fourth will be on the digital learning, for them, because everyone is going digital and online buying and all. So I've given out the syllabus that these are all coming on your way as a part of the journey. You will get exposed to this kind of learning. So they will look forward to it. That's also one flavor I thought maybe I should share.
Cool. Excellent. So, wow, we're already at 6:50, which is 10 more minutes left. So I do want to give Dolly a little bit of time to give her, maybe she can do a summary of all the slides which she has done. But before that, I just wanted to close the fireside chat with closing comments from all of you, Simon, Rajesh, and Mara. Any specific comments? things like, you know, any recommendations you would give to people when they're thinking of starting a gamification activity, any top thoughts which are coming in your mind?
I would start this. I'm sorry,
Okay,
I'm taking the liberty. Yes.
Go ahead,
And,
Rana.
and no, I want to really be very this. My experience with the Streamz platform has been excellent, and I'll tell you very upfront. Being in India, based out of India, we were very skeptical, and I personally was very apprehensive of using the platform where the CEO and the CMO are based out of Singapore. How do we access? But in terms of the technical knowledge, or in terms of the capability and the competence of the platform, in terms of their response rate from the team, whether it is Dolly or Priyanka, and in terms of the pilot that which we did in the month of September, October, and the way forward, has been excellent. And I'm sure this would give a very long-lasting, very productive results to, ultimately at the end of the day, all this is fine. Your top line and bottom line counts, and then why behind the what has to be very clear. So I think so. Why Streamz and why gamification about the what? I think so. We are very clear on this, and it has started giving us, if not so very tangible, in the 6 months time, you really cannot gauge, but it has really what I wanted, the engagement and educating and the excitement from the dealer sales executives. That is super. That's what I would like to end. So thank you.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate the comment. Rajesh and Simon, any closing comments from your side before we sort of hand it over to Dolly?
Yeah, I'm very quick. I think in 2 minutes, I think for me, I'm a big advocate of gamification. As we said, it can be simple, like I did with what I've done with Streamz, which is the quiz master and the multiple choice questions each week where we're learning product. Or you can be something a bit more complex, like a treasure hunt that I've done previously. That is a bit more investment. But the key thing here is about engagement. It's about communication. It's about recognition. And ultimately, these people now want rewards, but you can't give everyone a reward. It's, that opportunity to win, maybe a lucky draw or points based. But the thing here is that you want them to continually keep coming back. So they do learn about your products. They have fun along the way. And because they're all competitive, all Gen Z and millennials, they're competitive. I beat you on that. That is also super important. And you can see where the abilities are, and hopefully that, as you said, Shari, those people go, oh, well, I'm going to go back to my product stream to then learn more about the product. But even if you've got a limited budget, you don't have to have big prizes like a television or a car. You can do those e-vouchers, and they work because it still means something to them. So yeah, I'm a big advocate.
Excellent. Thanks, Simon. Appreciate that. Rajesh, any closing comments before we sort of give it to Dolly? You're muted, Rajesh.
Not a second. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So just a quick one. I think so for me and for my leadership team, it's really about people, right? At the end of the day, our different groups in the organization make products and processes and all that stuff, which is great. But as I mentioned, it's about culture, right? It's about transformation, and people, people talk to people, people buy from people communicate with people. At the end of the day, you've got to have some fun along the way and find a way to really make sure we are inculcating those habits, right? Remember, I talked about habits, right? So how do you really take some of these things? Because culture is a simple word, but it takes years. Even after 30 years, I'm learning, and I'm sure even another 20 years, I'll still keep learning, right? So how do we enjoy that process of building a culture in an organization? And to me, I think that's really important. And everything else that Rana and Simon mentioned, right?
Very true. Very correct. Excellent, Rajeshji.
And Streamz has been an important part for us to kind of take that manual process and digitize it and really take it to the next level. So thank you.
Great insight, Rajesh, sir. Great insight.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Simon, Rajesh, and Rana, sir. I'll give it to Dolly. I hope the people are still around, and I can still see a lot of people still around. So maybe Dolly, you'll have to do a small summary kind of deck. Let's see how well you can do a summary. But let's go for it. Thank you.
I hope my screen is up.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
okay,
we can see it.
So I'm Dolly, and I have worked with the company over the years, and we have run more than hundreds of programs, right? And This attempt is actually to showcase the learnings we have had, and hopefully you'll find it useful. And like Chari instructed, I'll try to keep it short and simple. So there are different phases of gamification program. There are primarily three phases. One is design, execution, and analysis, right? And design phase is the first phase where you are basically planning your contest, you're modeling your contest. Then the execution phase where you're executing what you have planned in the design phase. And last but not the least, analysis it's very key, where you analyze the outcome, the result, and participation, and of course the learning of the program, which you can use it for future purposes. We are now going to get into detail of these three phases. So the first one is design, and under design phase, the first step is to define your goal. The goal needs to be, I mean, it can be different for for you, it could everyone, it can be different. It needs to be very tangible, so that you can measure it at the end of the day, whether you have been able to move the needle on these business objectives. You could say that my objective is I want to improve the skill of your salespeople for the new product launch, or you could say I want to increase the operational efficiency based on the activities they are performing on the ground. Very important to think about your targets or target audience. You need to know who are your audience. You need to understand what are they doing on daily basis. Like one of the panelists also said, it cannot, the goal you have or the type of activity you're planning, it needs to be tied with what they are doing currently, right? So really need to think about the target audience, what motivates them. And these kind of things will be input the way you're going to craft your design program, the way you are going to model your contest. Reward is very important. It needs to be something which is desirable by your sales team. It needs to be motivating your participant to participate in the program. And all of us always work in the constraint of budget, right? So you need to think about the optimized way of, what is the reward value, what is the number of winners, and what we have seen, right? The more the number of winners you have, the better it is for the program, because then all your participant thinks that even I have a chance to win. So, and the reward doesn't always have to be monitoring, right? So you have points and badges, and we talked about it. There are also certificates, entry in privileged clubs, which you can offer to your participants. Now we are in modeling step where, you first need to think about what is the type of contest you want to do. And that really depends on your business objective. For example, you want to increase the skill level of your people, then you may want to do quiz-based contest. If you want to improve a certain behavior or certain activity which your sales teams are performing in the store, the photos and videos are a great way to create a sense of community amongst your sales team. So there are different ways to do contests, different types of contests. You can decide what works best on what is the business objective you're trying to solve. Now, as a next step, we need to think about what are the different activities needs to be rewarded. For example, Simon talked about, his objective was to increase the knowledge level of people. So he listed down the activities which he wants to reward. For example, he wanted to reward the completion of the training module, taking knowledge checks. If you take knowledge checks, you will get bonus points, right? So you basically define the list of activities which can be rewarded, and then you define the earnability. You really need to know how much, what kind of, how much points users can earn, what options or, how many opportunities do they have to earn these points, so that you can plan those different levels of badges, different level of prizes, and so on. So you really need to keep it, crisp and simple. And like other panelists also said, it's very, very important to keep it simple. So rules needs to be simple and visible to the users. So they should be able to see what are the activities they need to perform, and they should be able to quickly see their progress as well. So you're asking them to do 5 things, they complete 1 thing or 2 things, they should be able to see that. It is a key to success. Now, before you launch the contest or the program, very important to create the excitement. So the pre-contest phase, you can, teasers are a great way. You can do posters, communicate through different channels like WhatsApp, email, and whatnot. So communicate about your contest few days in advance to create that excitement amongst your sales team. And it is very important to define KPI, and KPIs can be different depending on the objective you're trying to solve, right? So there could be different KPIs. For example, for if you want to increase the product sale, then you're going to look at how many product sales is happening throughout the program. So you define the KPI before you go live with your contest. Now we are in the execution phase, and it's obviously now before this you have planned out everything. Now you're going to go live with this. So what is very important that you start tracking your KPIs from day one. As soon as you go live, you need to start tracking your KPI. You need to see whether you are able to move the needle. And while you're analyzing, you will find that you have different type of participants. You have some participants we are very enthusiastic, who are really throughout engaged. There's some sporadic who are going to come, they are going to be engaged for first few days, and then they're going to, you see that the engagement is going down for them. You'll find that there are some trialists who are just coming to figure out, is it interesting enough for me? There is something for me here, right? And then they may drop off. There would be cynics who somehow are not getting engaged, right? So you need to analyze and find these different cohort of users and plan the communication. Communication is key, like all the panelists say, right? So you need to plan your communication depending on different cohort of users. Allow them to get some extra points, right? This is a great motivator we have seen. Allow them, give them small opportunity in between to get those booster points, extra points, which will help them, keep engaged throughout the program. Publish leaderboard, recognize these people, performers, people who are consistent, performing well, participating, and progressing well in the leaderboard. Very important to recognize. And we also have seen, we have seen with multiple programs that gamification allows you to also increase the consumption of the relevant topic content. So if you are doing product in skill related gamification program, you do publish content relevant to that product, and you notice that people are willing to learn more about that product. So these are some of learnings we have seen, which will help you increase the performance of your gamification program. Golden period, it's so important. So any program you run, the first few days are golden period. Why? Because this is the time where all participants are trying to assess what is in it for me. Is it worth my time? Do I really need to continue participating in this program? So it's very important that you keep the momentum up. The first few days, allow them to have early achievement feel, give them points and badges, so that they feel that I have a chance to win. I am going to, I just did something and I got something, right? So it's a golden period. Make use of this, and it is if you set the tone right, if you utilize this golden period right, you have a better chance to have a great participation in your program. Once you're done with contests, very important, like Rana's also said, right? If your month contest has ended, you can't take 2 more months to choose a winner. So need to have a rapid process to choose a winner based on all the criteria you may have defined, but do it like next few days. Showcase the winner on different platform. You can do it using the emails, photos, videos, and on different platforms to recognize these winners. And also thanking all participants, and let them know if there is something coming up, right? So that they know that, oh, there is something coming up, and you're building on the momentum. Analyzing the outcome, like I said, is very important. You need to know whether, you need to analyze whether you have been able to achieve your goal, you have been able to move the needle. What are the, different things which went right or wrong? You need to figure out all the learnings you had. gamification is fairly new area, so improvement is the key. You always need to have the learnings of your gamification program and see, we need to tweak or change a little bit of those different, say, teaser mechanism or the communication mechanism, all these different elements we are using. Try to tweak all these elements in your program so that you see what is working really well for your target audience. So tracking, changing the strategies and figuring out what is working out is really important. And like Chari also mentioned, right? Gamification program is not just for a short, result, but you need to run multiple contests. Frequency of the contest needs to be a good frequency to build a habit, to build a culture, or to build a behavior for your sales team. So with that, I hope I have been able to summarize it. Okay, Chari, thanks. Back to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dolly. I think we are 5 minutes over, or 10 minutes over. I think, but the audience is still there. So I think they must have enjoyed it. And I really want to thank Rajesh and Rana and Simon. Thank you for participating in this event with us. We really appreciate it. You are pioneering gamification, I think, and we are really happy to be part of the journey, right? To automate it, to make it faster, instant, make it quicker in terms of deploying such programs and making it easy for the consumers of these programs to understand and take it forward. So that's what we are trying to do, to enable gamification and make it easy for companies to deploy gamification. And Dolly, thank you very much for sharing the secret sauce. I think it's very, very valuable. So thanks all. And Simon, Rajesh, and Rana sir, please look out for a small gift from us. You're going to get a book on gamification. I read an amazing book on gamification, which I'm going to be sending it to you all. Thank you very much.
And here there is no need of any instant gratification. It can wait.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
you, everyone. Bye.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Simon sir and Rajesh sir. Nice interacting with you. Nice meeting you. Thank you.
Take care,
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.